Lego World was in my city, Utrecht. So of course I had to be there. And in this video I'm going to share my journey through Lego World with you. I'm going to share a lot of cool creations I saw there, what my thoughts were about those, and what I'd like to bring home to this city. I really enjoyed being there and talking to all the amazing builders and kind people there, who I will try to credit throughout this video, because I think it's so nice, the creativity the builders bring, and it's such an inspiration, so thank you. And I hope to you, the viewer, this video will bring the same inspiration. And perhaps you were even there, to my Dutch and even perhaps international subscribers and followers. Were you at Lego World 2023? Let me know in the comments. And what did you like most? I'd love to hear from you. This is the wonderful layout of Jeroen Bas. And we're in the Netherlands, and this is a typical Dutch landscape, I guess. With the Phoenixwijk and the Dutch trains, and what I like here is the diagonal station. And I especially like the Dutch trains here, because for me it's very recognizable, and I'd like to have that one day in our city here as well. Here we can see the wires. They told me there are a lot of wires in this setup. Everything is original Lego except for the wires, and they also have a lot of sensors in the track, and we'll see that in a minute, but they use special software to run everything, which is kind of amazing, and I think I have a lot of learning to do if I saw that when I see that, but I really like it, so you'll probably see it on the channel someday here. They were kind enough to invite me behind the fences, so I was able to take a few cool shots like this one here. Unfortunately, not everything was working properly, and here we can see a digital version of the layout they have, but the tables on the convention weren't completely level. So that means that when the trains were running, the vibrations were causing the small and intricate connections of all sensors and rails and everything to vibrate. So that's why not everything like this switch or this crossing is working properly. Again, a typical Dutch city, really recognizable for the Dutch people. And what I also like here, and the other layout before I had this as well, is the ballasted track. He really adds something to the tracks. Really parts intensive though, unfortunately. Also a typical Dutch landscape, the flowers. And what I liked here were the bigger scale trains. They weren't the typical 6 studs wide train, but a bit bigger. Have you worked with bigger trains before? Love to hear your experiences on that. Not every building in the Netherlands looks so cool like this, but in the older city centers you can definitely find buildings like this, so pretty cool to see them here as well. I never saw a double train like in the middle before. I like it. One thing I did notice between the different setups was that the people who didn't have 9-volt tracks were switching out batteries a lot. Vestas wind turbine. I really like this set. Perhaps one day we'll add it to our city here as well. And of course a classic here, it had its own display. We have it also here in the city. I don't have the double decker cart, but perhaps one day. Cool tunnel. And this was also quite a cool layout. It was Friends setup layout, but kind of an amusement park with some other areas. And of course trains. Who doesn't like trains? And unfortunately I didn't get the name of the creator who built this magnificent MOC, but here we can see a few close-ups of the inside of this cool temple. That was also fun. A lot of MOCs had remote controls attached to the fences to control things. And here we have Venice from 1486 from Assassin's Creed by Barthezz brick. It's approximately 250,000 bricks with 3,000 build hours. And what I really like are the walls and the docks, for example. So much details are in there. And what I also like are the colors here. It's very Venice and it just works together. It just looks so good. Very cool MOC. There's just so much details in those walls. If I'm not mistaken, it's quite difficult to build like this, but perhaps one day we'll learn it as well here. And what do you do when you don't have the villagers from the Middle Ages when you're building a castle layout? Well, the builder told me he got inspired from what present-day castle owners do quite often actually. They open up the castle and the lands around the castle to the public to finance the maintenance, for example. And that's what we see here as well. We see a castle layout in the present day with present-day people. And I really like the mix here. amazing mock with very cool movement. And this one also had a remote, where you were able to move the different hobbits in the barrels. Very cool. These mocks we can see here were built by different builders, and they communicated online exchanging photos to keep it in the same style. And they used the small green and brown paths to connect the different creations later. Quite cool. Some cool movement here as well, dancing on the square. Just adds so much life to a mock. In this layout they had moving ships, and I really like that. I think they have wheels underneath them or something, but if you look closely you can also see the rudder moving when it's steering. Very cool. There it is. And this one had me thinking, I don't recognize the parts there in the bottom of the waterfall. Do you know from which set these are? Let me know in the comments. also a beautiful mock here. And what I really like are the trees and the vibrant colors here. And the rock work also looks quite cool here. And again, we can also see some small movement here on the right. It just adds so much life to the mock. I really like that. I don't have Ninjago in the city yet, but I do like how detailed and how colorful they are. Do you like Ninjago? Let me know. This is also quite recognizable for Dutch people, a ship lock. It's also something on my list to build one day. I really like it. I like how the builder created the water here on the bottom. Very cool with the movement. Here we see the custom creation of Sven Hooghiemster. He told me he has plans to put the instructions on sites like Rebrickable one day, but for now we get to admire his creation here in this video. Awesome. He also created this cool little Lion King musical theater with some movement in there as well. This is an actual Dutch bridge, and the real life version is able to lift. The middle section, this model is not able to move, but it is very detailed and very realistic. So very cool mock here. Here's another recognizable building and ride for Dutch viewers and perhaps those of you who've been to the Efteling, which is an amusement park in the south of the Netherlands. And here we can see one of the rides there, and it's called the Pagode, which we can see here is Lego combined with a mechanism to raise this housing on top. The builder of this impressive ride told me the ride is able to run for 15 minutes and then the center column gets too hot and it shuts down. Here we can see King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima watching over the Netherlands. This cute little build also caught my eye. Doolhofdorp, which is Maize Village in English. And this was also very cool. A complete area for a great ball contraption, and for me this was the first time I saw one in real life, and I found it quite mesmerizing to watch it go through the system. And apparently they also got a world record here at one point. Very cool. I don't think we will get something like this in the city, but the movement and the mechanisms they use here is something we can perhaps learn from. So, very interesting. Besides this being an awesome amusement park, I also really like how the creator did the cable management here, with the neat, tidy hub here in the bottom left. Very nice. And this one I also like. We have the monorail, of course, in our city, but this one is different. Pretty cool. They told me they were able to make 13 carts go around the track at once at one time. How cool. And that brings us to the end of this video. I'd love to hear from you. What did you like most in this video? And what kind of things do you want to get started building when you see the things in this video? I'd love to hear from you. For the next video, we are going to look how we can build the SID complex tower. And that's why it's such a mess here in the background, because I'm currently building it. If you'd like to see another video in the meanwhile, of how we built that one right in the corner, check out this video right here.